What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is another in the how-to series. Now we are talking about Kindred. We're going to start off with the offensive stuff and then move on to the defensive stuff. While Kindred is primarily a defender, I did want to show off some of the neat things he can do on offense, like reducing buff duration, pretty decent regeneration, and then some solid degeneration damage. So we'll start off with just a handful of offensive fights, and then we'll move on to how to fight Kindred. So, on all of Kindred's centipede attacks, which are his medium attacks and certain hits in his specials, he applies these atrophy passives. You can have up to 3 of them at one time, and they each reduce the duration of the opponent's buffs by 30%. So, at max stacks of atrophy, that's a 90% buff duration reduction. Gonna throw my special 2 here, trigger Nightmare Outbreak. Throw another special 2. Just building up so much power from Mystic Dispersion and buffs expiring. There's a special 3. I mean, it's a crazy amount of power in high buff matchups like Hulkling here. You're constantly just gaining power from Mystic Dispersion. Throwing another special 2 here. Another special 3. It's constant. It's powerful. That special 3 damage is also fairly solid. Throw a special 1 into block, doesn't really matter. And that's going to be all she wrote with a little combo here. So, while it's not the absolute fastest fight for sure, Kindred can handle this fight fairly well. Just a lot of buff control, very decent regen, so much power, especially with high Mystic Dispersion, fighting Kindred on defense. One thing to note before we get into this is that if you're using a Spiderverse Champion, which I will use to fight Kindred here, I'll use Spiderwoman, Kindred has this pause mechanic for his Nightmare Outbreak. So every time you hit the opponent, as you saw in the offensive section of the video, you're placing these like Nightmare Outbreak charges, and then you build up to 50. That triggers your Nightmare Outbreak. So why that's important to know is because when you counter Kindred special attacks, if you counter them properly, like after the special attack is finished, you can pause the duration of that timer. Spiderverse Champions increase the pause duration of that timer. So very important to know that there. Let's grab Tigra here. Let's grab another solid option. Titania is very good. Let's also grab SpiderHam, and then we can pick up, finally, let's grab probably another science champion. Let's take Spider-Punk. Even though he's rank 2, he should still do fine. So I'll start off this fight with Spider-Woman, just to show what that looks like using Spider-Woman against Kindred. The name of the game is after Kindred throws a special 1, you want to dash in, block the final hit of the special 1, and counter it immediately. That is going to give you that long pause on those Nightmare Outbreak charges being applied to you, and it's going to allow you to continue the onslaught of attacking to build up more power and counter Kindred even further. So as you can see, that's a long pause on the Nightmare Outbreak charges. Every 25% health threshold, or every time Kindred throws a heavy attack, he's going to get that Dread Aura, and that increases the charge gain that you would be gaining if the timer wasn't paused. So now I'm going to push him to Special 2, throw my Special 1 here with Spider-Woman, and that should kill him. So now I just have to survive the Dread Aura. When Kindred gets to that final threshold of health, he's going to root you and be prevented from dying. If you throw a special attack, the root will end, and you will be able to kill him even at that health threshold. So Spider-Woman does very well for Kindred. As you can see, that was an incredibly solid fight. 46 seconds is equal rank as well. But Spider-Woman is a Spider-Verse champion. What does it look like to fight Kindred with a non-Spider-Verse champion? What does that time pauser, that pause timer look like? And how can you ensure that you're doing the best you can against Kindred? So Like I already mentioned, when he loses 25% of his health from each threshold from 75, 50, 25, he will automatically trigger his Nightmare Outbreak, or I'm sorry, his Dread Aura. And then if you have a certain amount of charges from the Awaken ability, upon activating this ability, activate Dread Aura at no power cost. If at or above 30 infestation charges, inflict the Nightmare Outbreak. So this is referring specifically to Kindred's like death immunity sort of phase. When you hit that 5% threshold, if you have 30 or more of the infestation charges on you, he will automatically trigger the Nightmare Outbreak, which places the Degeneration, which places um, the Power Steal during his special 2, all of that fun stuff. So now we're going to go in here with Titania, who is another great option for Kindred. We're going to utilize the Haymaker opening here. We're going to hope that Kindred ends up throwing a special 1 sooner rather than later here. And now I've paused the timer again. We're going to hopefully go for another pause here. As you can see, that timer is significantly reduced compared to the timer from the Spiderverse Champions. But regardless, with proper play, and if Kindred is being a cooperative champion, you can still take full advantage of taking care of business with any champion. As long as you're going in, blocking that special 1, or countering the special 2, whatever ends up happening. Gonna go for my Haymakers here. Go for a little special dex. I did not trigger my Haymaker with the heavy attack, but regardless, even with not the perfect Titania matchup, she still handles that fight very, very well. Ideally, you would have your Haymaker ready heavying into your special 3, and then you get a lot more damage, but even then, with Kindred's Nightmare Outbreak, he's immune to Infuriate and Intimidate, so chances are he's going to throw specials into your face regardless with Titania, but she still works very well for this matchup. Now, another champion that works incredibly well for Kindred is Tigra. This can be a 6-star or a 7-star Tigra, whatever you have available. Tigra does great in this matchup. So with Tigra, it's a little bit different. You're not going to block the final hit of the special 1. You're going to heavy through the final hit of the special 1. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can do a medium dash if you're early enough in the special 1 animation, or you can do 2 light attack dashes, or 2 light attack spacing increases to then push you close enough to Kindred. Or, if you're just close enough from him throwing the special, then you don't have to worry about any of that. But this is a good example of Kindred just not being the most cooperative sometimes. He really likes throwing that heavy attack, as you can see, just throwing it into the air there. So, what you have to realize sometimes with Kindred is it's not going to go perfectly every single time. Like, you will trigger the Nightmare Outbreak because Kindred he's a tough defender. But even with a Nightmare Outbreak trigger, even with Kindred being a little uncooperative, Tigra still handles that fight very, very well. We even triggered some degen towards the end of the fight there, but it didn't matter. Tigra just handles it. She gets the job done. Now, doing the dash in during the special 1 and doing the heavy counter sometimes, of course, is a little risky because if you miss, you're going to get that degen debuff on you, and especially if you're in Nightmare Outbreak, you're going to take a lot of damage. So be very careful using Tigra and definitely practice the spacing of that matchup in some duels or some practice fights. I highly recommend doing that. Now let's use SpiderHam, another fantastic option for Kindred. Again, the name of the game here is just the same as it's always been. You're going to dash in during that special 1, block the final hit, or parry the final hit, whatever floats your boat, and then land your counter attack, your medium, your light, whatever attack is going to reach Kindred. That's the attack you should be using. And you just do that on repeat. Kindred can't have his AI manipulated by typical means, so Infuriate and Intimidate do not work to manipulate Kindred's AI, but you should still be able to taunt Kindred. At least I believe you should be able to. Beta Special 2 here. Yeah, he can still be taunted, but he's immune to Infuriate and Intimidate. Gonna Beta Special 1. Going for the parry. Throw my Special 1, and that should be all she wrote with the rank 3 SpiderHam against the rank 4 Kindred. SpiderHam is just so incredible, and of course he is a Spiderverse champion, so that really helps in keeping the infestation charges at bay. So SpiderHam is just really solid for this. we'll finish off this video with a Bullseye fight against Kindred. Bullseye being an incredibly underrated attacker. I'm sure I made a video on Bullseye on offense many, many times in the past. Yeah, and I made a how-to video for Bullseye, so yeah, definitely not a topic I am unfamiliar with. Bullseye, big fan of this champion. But at the end of the day, Kindred is just an annoying defender, and Kindred will always be a tough, difficult, annoying defender. But there are ways to play around this champion. Dashing in during the special one and blocking that final hit, getting your counterattack in. The finesse of, like, there's the evade, saving my butt there with Bullseye. The finesse of landing the parry against the special one and getting the counterattack. Kindred is tough, and Kindred will always be tough, you know? Go for a little counter here. Into the special one. And there you go. Bullseye takes care of business pretty well in 52 seconds against that Kindred. Cannot complain one bit. So, that is going to be all for the how-to Kindred video. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if this video was helpful and or informative for you. I love making these types of videos, and I really want to make a lot more going forward. So, thank you again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to check out the channel for the rest of August for a plethora of more how-to videos and other scattered videos throughout the rest of the month. So, be sure to look out for that because it's going to be a great time. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next one.